Dr. Diller. Questions, discussions on the agenda?
I would like a request to add an item to extend my hiring authority one more month while we fill final positions. I did have the authority over the summer. We just need one more month to wrap up all our positions. We have some offers out that we would like to make tomorrow that couldn't make today's meeting, but we want to get the process started. So if we could add that item somewhere towards the end of the agenda.
Somewhere in the eights, maybe?
Sounds good? Yep.
8.17?
Yep.
Is 8.17, or are all of the 8s lumped together?
They are.
Okay. So
Or-
it's just, I'm fine with it under consent.
Okay.
Yep, I just
And
want,
we can always pull it out also.
yep, nope, that's fine.
I was just looking for the grouping. I figured education and services would be a
Tina,
great
if you
place.
could find or someone the date we approved in April, I believe, my hiring authority, just to be able to reference it in the motion would be great. Thank you.
So we need someone to amend that motion, don't we? Have a board member maybe propose an amendment to the agenda?
Yes, I so move that we extend Mr. Bigger's authority to hire teachers as they become available.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda to add item 8.17 for extending the superintendent's hiring authority. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Raber. Any questions or discussions? Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment, and then we'll have another vote immediately thereafter on the amended agenda. So, all those in favor of the amendment to the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved. So now, we already have the motion and second on the table, so any discussions on the amended agenda? Okay, if not, all those in favor of the amended agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved. 3.01, President's Report. So on Thursday, the students are back in the buildings. You know, it'll be new and interesting times for everybody, and I just wish everyone a safe and happy return to school, and get ready for another exciting school year. I've said it since probably May, and it bears repeating. You know, the staff has done a lot of work over the summer getting ready, and we'll all get to see the fruits of their labor beginning on Thursday this week. 3.03, Superintendent's Report.
Yep. Just a reminder to everybody to slow down. Starting Thursday, buses will be on the roads and vans. It's going to take you 10 minutes longer to get everywhere until we get our routines established. So everybody please be patient. Certainly by the end of next week, we'll have all our glitches hopefully worked out, and we'll be in our school routine with buses and vans. One thing I do want to highlight is, unfortunately, our current elementary structure does create struggles with staffing and caps and oversubscriptions and folks using the babysitter rule. I've watched this summer, and you know, coming back to the district, it wasn't certainly in my job responsibilities in the past, but I've watched a number of employees work all summer long just on this topic alone, where we're constantly putting adults, parents, students, and teachers and admin in difficult situations all summer long and making last-minute moves. So I'm very much excited about our future potential grade configuration changes to resolve this issue and to get where most other schools already are and focus more on students. It's not anybody's fault. It's just where we've been for so long. But I can tell you a lot of time, energy, and effort and hurt and feelings certainly happen all summer long, and especially right now. So I do want to apologize to everybody. We have to move for the sake of classrooms and sizes and oversubscriptions. So, and I appreciate Mr. Widman and the team doing the best they can not to do that, But the reality is, there's hundreds of people that get a changed assignment, and it does create feelings. We've been doing it for years, and it's normal, but it shouldn't be normal. So I hope to get to that place where it's no longer a practice that we use. I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight today's opening day in service. So we had a wonderful day today. All employees came together in the high school for a lunch and some activities, and then at 1 o'clock we met in the auditorium to recognize our years of service at 10, 20, 30, 40, and tonight you're gonna recognize a 45-year of service employee, followed by our new teachers and new staff to the district, and then we ended with a very fun, engaging, and exciting motivational speaker. So it was a great day. I also want to highlight the VFW contributed, all the food for lunch for everybody today, cooked their hearts out, and helped us serve. So thanks to the VFW. If you're not a member, just go join because they did a good job. But it was a wonderful meal, and we do appreciate all their service. Today, I will say, after our in-service day, we're one step closer to Schools of Distinction, and so hopefully we can start trotting here this fall. But we made a nice step today with what we did. So thanks to everybody for contributing to opening day in service.
Okay, thank you. As teed up, 4.01 presentation. Mr. Baker.
Matt, you want to go first? Sure. I'm just a handshake and a certificate, but I want to hear more about this gentleman.
All right. Well, I just want to say it's an honor for me to be up here and be able to recognize Mark Byers from our grounds crew for a lifetime of service here at Chambersburg Area School District. Mark's service actually began in 1974 when Mark was an 8th grade student at Chambersburg. Mark was hired under the CETA program or the CETA program to do custodial work for our district. Mark did this for 4 years. He worked 2 hours every day after school and during the summer. Then after graduating, Mark officially became a member of the Chambersburg School District staff on August 20th, 1979, for $3.20 an hour. We have a running joke in our office that during most graduation ceremonies, you receive a diploma. Mark was handed a badge and keys. So Mark spent a large portion of his career at the former J. Frank Faust Junior High School, or now known as Camps North, as a custodian on day and night. He joined the grounds crew in 2012, and he has been there ever since. Besides dedicated and reliable, I would describe Mark as a Swiss Army knife. Along with his grounds crew duties, Mark is subs in the buildings as custodian. He is skilled at lining athletic fields. He often fills in on our mail runs, when we have folks off. And most importantly, Mark will do anything that is asked of him, and he always does it. He does it with a great attitude, and he does it with a smile on his face. So, Mark, I just want to say thank you for your dedication and service. This is a huge milestone, and I want to congratulate you on that. I hope we can keep you around for a few more years. You hit 45, you might as well go for 50. So, thank you, Mark.
For years of service, we did give 10 years of service. We gave a canvas print of their school, where they're from. For 20 years of service in the back, you can see the very nice blanket that is in hot demand right now, and I will take bids for those. 30 years of service outside the district admin building. You can see these brick pillars. We're going to put nameplates for those who have reached 30 years of service. And for 40 years of service, it's a nameplate and a plaque on the inside. And for 45, you're going to get a scroll with your picture of your entire work history memorialized in the building here for you. And I think there's only one other name, more than 45. Was there a 47-year-old older person that worked here? Joyce Bless, retired a couple years ago. So if you want to go for the record, 47 right now is the record. So it's only 2 more years to tie the record, 3 to beat it. So congratulations, Mark. If you want to come up, I certainly have a certificate for you. picture and your entire history on there. So your grandkids, everybody can come, tell them you worked here for 45 years and they'll believe you. There's going to be a picture of you out there. All right? We miss you today. Oh, okay. Anybody else have anything to say about Mark? I know there's a bunch of people here to support him.
Mark's the best.
All right.
All right, that says it.
All right.
Mark, would you like to say anything?
Would you want to say anything? Go ahead. No. You got any words of wisdom? No. Okay. All right. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yep.
Hey, if he makes 50, I'm all in favor of a statue right out there at Mark Bonstead.
Thank you.
CEDA program, what did that stand for?
I'll have to do some research on that. I didn't have time. I just found that out recently, so.
Education, training, apprenticeship, something like that.
Just
Like a community employment training app, something like that. My brother was in that for a while.
Sounds like a great idea.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Mark. And the other 40-year employee was Sandra Woodring, food service at Marion.
All right, item 5.01, privilege of the floor. Taking a look at the agenda, there are 2 individuals who signed up, but as we've been doing, just because you didn't sign up, you can still get a chance. But we'll do those who signed up first, do it in order. Valerie Jordan, item 7.03.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like for you, this is to the board and to Superintendent Bigger. Tonight I'd like for you to consider a cost-saving measure for our school district. It's called Looking at Solar Panels for our School District and Which Schools Would Benefit the Most from Them. Why? I checked out an item on tonight's bill list, which you will be approving. It's the district's check number 1564574 for electricity usage at Buchanan. The check shows a payment to the Borough of Chambersburg in the amount of $3,669.24. Borough officials just approved another rate hike there too. This translates into the school district paying more for electricity when the rate hike goes into effect, which I believe it's going to go into effect next month. I also looked at what was appropriated in account 2600, operation and maintenance plant services for fiscal year 2023-2024 to, which was for 2023-2024 versus this year. That line item was increased by 11%, going from 11.7 million last year to 13.1 million this year. Somewhere within that account was additional tax dollars going to increase electricity costs. The other benefit in looking into this cost-saving measure is the fact that the Shapiro administration, along with state lawmakers, approved tax dollars to be used for solar panels in the state's 2024-2025 budget. We are a huge school district which could benefit from some of this money. Thank you, but I also want to preface that I went back into last year's bill list this time last year, and I saw one of the schools paid West Penn $6,000 plus. Now I can go right to that line and find it and send it to you, which I plan to do. So And I also am going to send you what the residential rates are right now for West Penn. They doubled since 4 years. They doubled. I couldn't believe it when we just purchased a solar panel system for our home. And I did not believe the lady, and I went and I found it. Doubled. And I don't know if it's because of COVID, but they doubled. So that's all I have to say. Mrs. Stauffer, you'll get this, and the rest of the board and the administration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. John Jordan, item 7.05.
Okay, as the board knows, in the past, I spoke many times about all the job positions last year that we weren't filling. And from Mrs. Stauffer, I think it was last week, had mentioned about a lot of the positions that have been filled, and we raised some of the salaries, which I was hoping we would do. We had a terrible problem, as you all know, last year. Last year at this time, compared to this year, we've doubled the amount of new appointees, which I think is wonderful. So I'd like to compliment the board and the staff, administration, I guess, maybe not staff, yeah, administration, that for doing a good job, and thank you very much for getting under control and filling a lot of these positions. So that's what I wanted to say about that. My wife's idea about the solar, I think maybe somebody should look into it. West Penn had put in for a huge rate increase for next year. The Chambersburg Electric Company put in for a huge increase also, so solar might be a good way to go, and there's money available. And the last thing is that if the administration could complement the janitorial staff, that men's bathroom is clean as a whistle. It is beautiful. I can't believe it. I didn't get a chance to check out the ladies' bathroom yet, but, you know, I don't know whether that's appropriate. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Any other members of the audience wish? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. If you just don't mind, please state your name and the agenda item you're speaking regarding.
Thank you, Green.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Jillian Culler, 423 Stauffer Avenue. I'm a parent, and I'm commenting on agenda item 10.02. Good evening. I was glad to receive the district newsletter, which was emailed out last week. I was extremely pleased to see one section of the newsletter dedicated entirely to technology use. I was delighted to read that we will see increased direct instruction moving forward from our staff, that's a direct quote from the newsletter, as well as guidance on daily screen limits. I deeply appreciate that our district is taking notice of the latest research regarding screen time. I recently read the book, The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness by Jonathan Haidt. The book discusses how, from 2010 to 2015, which is the time most of us, including young people, were transitioning from having basic phones to smartphones, we see a significant fall in the health and well-being of young people. These years, of course, are pre-COVID. The thesis of the book is that the transition we have witnessed from a play-based childhood to a phone-based childhood majorly disrupts social and neurological development, leading to a soaring rise in mental illness. I urge each of you to read the book. I borrowed it from Coil Free Library. I appreciate the direct communication in the newsletter regarding screen time. I would advocate, however, for a total and complete ban of phones in schools. Kids who can only access phones during the hallway and lunchtime decrease their chances for in-person interaction with others, as that is the only time they have to check their phone. It also encourages kids to hide phones behind books, etc., turns teachers into the phone police. Some parents may balk at a no phone policy because there would be no way to reach a child in an emergency. That is a very real concern. Interestingly enough, there was a study cited in the book that said the best outcomes for children in an emergency is to listen to one adult giving directions, not looking down at their phones, waiting for their parents' direction. There's a chapter in the book titled What Schools Can Do Now. I wanted to copy and pass out this chapter for each of you to read tonight, but because I returned the book to the library and I'm number 13 in the queue, you're going to receive a handout instead. It was written by the author specifically for educators. I will be back at another meeting with the chapter of the book, copied and ready to hand out. So please read it, and please keep it in mind as you hear problems that arise in our schools throughout the year. Thank you for your time, and thank you in advance for considering how we can change the culture of our schools.
Name of that book again?
The Anxious Generation.
I have a copy in my office. I'd be happy to lend it to you. We'll skip you 13 to number 1 if you stick around.
Take one, pass it.
Is that the book you were talking about?
Yeah, if anyone hasn't on the board or on the staff read the book, it's fantastic. It's an eye-opener. And surely there is a message that we can craft from the contents of that book to go out to the community that would show some serious evidence that how harmful these things are. So anyways, thank you.
Any other members of the audience care to discuss or comment on any agenda items? Okay, if not, be a quick 1-2 step here next on old business. Item 6.01, need a motion to remove from the table the LIU proposal for additional targeted support and improvement. So do we have a motion to remove that item from the table?
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. Motion by Mrs. Gogler, second by Dr. Diller. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, no, so moved. Now we'll go to 6.02. Motion to approve the LIU proposal for additional targeted support and improvement plan for Cash's school improvement.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Diller, second by Mr. Haydick. Questions or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved. Items, the 7 group consent agenda. We will be voting on items 7.01 through 7.20, all in one vote. However, are there any board members who wish a desire for any item to be pulled and discussed and voted on separately? All right, so, oh, I thought you were
Sorry,
pointing
no,
at
that
me.
was for Mark.
You're giving me the hook there.
Yes.
So do we have a motion to approve all consent agenda items, which would be items 7.01 through 7.20 as presented?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Walker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so moved. Second group, we're gonna vote for this next group, the education and services group, in a block, again, similar to consent, but just similar. It'd be items 8.01 through the amended item that we added, 8.17, for the 1-month extension of the superintendent's hiring authority. So are there any of those items between 8.01 and 8.17 that a board member would like to have a separate vote on?
I would suggest that we have discussion on the new agenda item. I really question whether a 1 month is a stop point.
Okay.
What are you suggesting? Are you
Why don't
Well,
looking?
Is now-
we'll get there when we
Okay.
do it, when we do it. Let's, okay, we'll do the section 8 in at least 2 votes. Any other, everyone? Okay, do we have a motion to approve items 8.01 through 8.16?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Gogler, second by Mr. Walker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it and so moved. So before we get, excuse me, before we get into discussion, do we have a motion to, and second, to approve item 8.17, extension of superintendent's hiring authority?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Dr. Diller, second by Mrs. Gogler. Now, questions and discussions, please.
Yes, just what you're looking at. You're looking at a certain time period. You're looking at indefinite. I'm
It's
not
my- it's-
opposed to
right.
it, but I
It's
just
my
want to see
opinion
what.
that we entrust the superintendent with bigger issues than the approval of a position. And I think it should be a unilateral, indefinite approval, that he has the authority, if there's a candidate that he is feeling might be lost if he didn't hire them. You know, I just don't see that doing it just for a month. What about 2 months from now, whenever somebody is available, but they're gonna take another job if we don't grab them whenever they're available, and it's gonna be 2 weeks till we have a meeting? I just, you know, I think that our limitations were, if I'm not mistaken, were for teachers. It was not for Act 93s, it wasn't for a blanket approval. But our teaching staff is so necessary for the operation of what our mission is, which is education, that I just feel that he should be able to make that decision if he feels that it's appropriate.
So for clarity and for the public, when we receive a personnel, if we follow through on Faye's proposal, when we have a personnel report come through, what, would that be informational? Or
It would have an effective date, Tina, would that not
we
be
would-
correct?
We would still be approving it
Oh, yeah.
retroactively? Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
Tina, do you feel that what I'm saying is correct? I mean, I may be wrong, but, you know.
No, I absolutely agree. You know, and what the concern is that under school code and in contracts with our professional staff, there's a clause in there about a 60-day hold. So as you can imagine, when you're getting ready to start a school year, everybody is using that 60-day hold. So for example, if we have an individual that was recommended today for a position, and they would meet with HR, let's say, tomorrow, complete the paperwork, that position would not be officially approved here at Chambersburg until our next board meeting, which is September 17th. So that individual would not feel comfortable turning in their resignation at their current district until they would be officially hired by us. So in that situation, the individual would be turning in their resignation, let's say, the day after our board meeting, which I think would be September 18th, and then the 60-day count starts the next day. If we are able to expedite, if you would, or grant Mr. Bigger that extension to the hiring authority, if we have somebody recommended today, they come in and meet with HR tomorrow, they complete all the paperwork, and Mr. Bigger has that conversation and does the hiring, that individual then can turn their resignation in maybe Thursday or Friday of this week, and that 60-day clock basically starts almost a month early. And that means that we get that person earlier to fill that needed position.
If I may, I'm just confused a little. What is the purpose of the 60-day clock? What is that?
So Mr. Haydock, in school code, districts that are going to be losing a teacher, they can hold that individual for 60 calendar days before releasing them to go to another Pennsylvania public school district to allow them the opportunity to do their hiring to get it filled before they lose that individual.
Thank you. That's very clarifying. And to concur with Mrs. Gogler, to me, this is a no-brainer. The superintendent and the staff are managing much, much bigger issues, have their fingers on a lot of other important things. And if we lose an employee because the bureaucracy, the paperwork, whatever, and we lose them, then we're looking at vacancies all over again. And, and so it's a no-brainer, and I concur with Mrs. Gogler. Unless Mr. Bigger abuses the authority,
We can rescind it then.
yeah, we can rescind it, we'll give him a talking to.
I might rescind him.
Well,
I'm not worried about that.
a play
No, I'm
on
not
word,
either.
a play on words here, if we want to give Mr. Bigger authority. Mr. Bigger and myself are writing each other notes. If it's something that we want to do indefinitely or long-term, we should probably do it through policy or procedure, and then, then we don't have to worry about remembering to rescind it or whatnot. In some time in the previous history of this board, maybe the board didn't want the superintendent to have such authority. So if it were in policy at that time, then the board could also change the policy. So I guess the question I might ask Mr. Bigger and the board members, would it be appropriate to do, say, a 2-month extension right now, and then that would give us time to work on policy? Then we can vote on a policy amendment, and then we don't ever have to talk about it again, unless someone wants to amend the policy.
Sounds reasonable to me.
And that's good, especially in this climate.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
You know,
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Made that motion, Mrs. Gogler, and okay, Dr. Diller made the motion. Would you like to amend the motion for a 2-month extension?
I'd like to amend it for a 2-month extension.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Raber and second by
If-
Mrs.
If I can interrupt for just a second,
I'm
Mr.
sorry. Go
Norcross. No. So,
3 months.
So, our recommendation, Dr. Long and Mr. Woodman and I were just talking, if we are looking to do an update in policy or what have you, we may want to go ahead and extend it for 3 months to allow for that discussion and first read and second read
First
and,
read, second read.
and all that good stuff.
4 months.
Dr. Diller is showing 4 months.
4 months.
I'm okay with that as well.
Do we have to vote down my amendment first?
No.
Oh,
No, because we didn't vote on it. So maybe if we do this the third time, we'll get it right.
And then the other thing I wanted to share, I did look up, and the initial approval did happen at the May 21st board meeting. It was item 606. And the way that it was worded, the motion was worded to approve the authority of the superintendent to hire/fill needed positions for the period of June 26th through August 19th, with retro board approval to occur on August 20th of '24.
For my little brain, it's easier just to say, can we just extend it to the end of the calendar year? Gives us plenty of time. There's holidays coming up, towards all that. I mean, and we need teachers now. We need positions filled now. So let's give him that authority now.
Was that an amendment?
I'm amending the original,
Amendment. Yeah, it's 8:17.
To allow the superintendent, Mr. Bigger, extending his original authority that we granted for Tina's explanation there until the end of the calendar year. And then it'll allow us, well, it's not the end of that.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second for amending item 8.17 to extend the hiring authority until the end of the calendar year, be 31 December 2024. Any questions, discussions on the amendment? Then we have to come back and vote on it. All those in favor of the amended agenda item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it and so moved. Now we need a motion and second on the amended agenda item 8.17.
So move.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Haydeck. Questions or discussions? Third time we got it right, gang. Great job. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it and so moved. Finance and Facilities, item 9.01, lease agreement for Chambersburg Education Engagement Center. Mr. Bigger.
Yep, not new news. It was in the newsletter, so hopefully we are approved tonight. But we've been moving forward on this idea for a while. I did present at the Education Summit in front of about 130 or 40 people, brought this up, and I had 5 or 6 people come up to me afterwards and say, I can't wait to help you. So if there's a bunch of people that want to partner with us to re-engage students in our school, I can't wait to see how many people show up and actually deliver on that service. But I'm very optimistic that this downtown engagement center is really going to help with our traffic and getting students re-engaged back in school.
Do we have a motion and second for the lease agreement, item 9.01?
I'd like to make a motion to move forward on that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Raber, second by Mrs. Gogler. Questions or discussions on the motion?
Yeah, I don't have a serious question at this point, but just for discussion, I think it's a wonderful idea. But I think there will be some in the community that will question whether it's a good idea. So I think at some point, not immediately, we need to demonstrate that it's effective, that it's efficient, that it's a good idea, and we've got some objective evidence that, you know, we can show people that it's working for us. So not just, and then, you know, we get years down the road, well, that's the way we've always done it, and it's really, you know, not a good idea. So sometime as it gets rolling, I would expect that, and I know Chris and I have already.
Yeah, we would have an opening, take people down there, see it. Like, it'll be an event for us for sure.
Any other questions or discussions? I don't know, maybe Mr. Bigger, could you maybe elaborate on what that measurement would look like, or
It's going to start off
benchmark?
with just participation and visibility of being there. So it's going to start, hey, traffic, you know, then what are you here for? What's the purpose? And did the service make a better transition? The easy one is your English language learner population, or a place where we can enroll, screen, potentially even get the vaccinations that they need within a shorter period of time, all there before they step into that school. So that they walk into that school ready to go, parents understand where the school is. That's part one. Part two would be any homeless services we can run out of that center, which is more accessible, certainly in downtown, but also in a less threatening environment. Third would be interpreter services, potentially could be housed there, especially outside the school day. Again, for registration, engagement, all the things we're struggling with. And then who knows from there? There's a lot of partnerships and opportunities to expand, but we want to be careful about that. So we've flirted with the idea of having registration down there. You know, certainly for especially our elementary division, and letting secondary. So we're floating those ideas. That's why I'm a little vague in my answers,
Yeah, I
because
can
it's
understand.
building its own momentum. But also, if we have a SIAC meeting where a student is not attending school, that would be a great place to re-engage them. Get them down there, have all of the folks say, okay, what's our game plan to getting you back to school? The hardest thing for a student who doesn't want to come to school is to walk into the school to have a meeting. So this could be a potential space for that. So those are some of the beginning ideas on what that would look like, especially with someone who speaks 2 languages or 3 languages. Certainly down there as a receptionist would help us considerably.
And I would ask that there are opportunities for volunteers, and as a school board member, I would expect I will be there,
Awesome.
just showing my face so that they know
Great.
that we're interested in what's going on.
Great.
There's signage being planned for the building or
Didn't even
nothing?
get there yet. We have to approve
Okay.
tonight, and then we start all the
Okay.
actionable items. And yes, we certainly want, Seek Center is the catchphrase so far. Seek engagement with Chambersburg School District. But yeah, that's to follow once we get this approved tonight and start the process. We have an October 1 open date, but I'm gonna be soft on that date until we get everything up and running. But the chamber and the business group has been wonderful to work with. They're excited about having us downtown.
Any other-
And if you remember, this was born from the visits Kurt Whitman took from the ELL groups who went to all the places, and they found this as a commonality. And we made it our own, more of an engagement center, and that was their idea. I was the one just to find the space and deliver it for them, and so I'm excited to see what they can do, because they were very excited about that. I don't know if you remember the presentation, but they were very excited about this really helping our families. So it wasn't my brainchild, it was Kurt Whitman's and certainly the team that went to visit. So just want to give credit where credit was due on that.
Any other discussions or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving lease agreement, item 9.01, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it and so moved. 9.02, facility usage agreement, YMCA. Mrs. Stauffer.
Thank you, Mr. Norcross. So yes, the administration recommends the approval of the facility use agreement for the YMCA for their before and after school program and also for summer program. This was information that was presented at the CAL 2 weeks ago.
Motion and second for item 9.02, please.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Gogler, second by Mr. Haydick. Questions or discussions?
I'd just like to say I'm very impressed with the YMCA program that they provide for our students for the child care and their programs in the summer. And, you know, we've had to make some exceptions to the policy for facility usage. And I would like to, that would come up in the future, that we could discuss that. It'll come up on a one-year anniversary date here going forward, and look at the information, how it has affected, especially the youth sports, since we have put that in for facility usage and the pay scale and so forth. So I would like to see us in the near future come up with the report on how we're doing with all that since the policy was changed. And so I'm pleased that we are having a facility usage agreement with the YMCA. And if we could just look at that policy in general, I'd appreciate it.
Any other questions or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it and so moved. Section 10, Policy and Legislation, 10.01, first reading of new policy 815.3, Artificial Intelligence. Mr. Bigger.
Yep, talked about the last meeting, so if there are no questions, this is just the first read. I don't know if you received any comments or anything, or have any suggested changes, but this would be the time for any suggested changes between first and second read.
I'm certain it's just.
Do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. McGee, second by Dr. Dillard. Mr. Haydick.
Yeah, just, AI is evolving. Right now, this is the best thing we can do. It mimics the state policy, so this is a good starting point, and we'll just have to see how it rolls out in the future.
good.
Okay.
I think it's good that we're being proactive instead of reactive. We're looking at it before we have issues, because issues will come up. And having a policy will help the process.
It's good.
Any other questions, discussions, or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so moved. Item 10.02, first reading of policy 237, electronic communication devices. We have a motion and a second to approve item 10.02.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Diller, second by Mr. McKee. Questions, comments, or discussions?
Very much needed. Very much needed. Appreciate how you wrote it up.
I just want to say I appreciated Mrs. Caller's comments earlier.
Right.
I agree wholeheartedly with what she was saying, and I think it's great to have parents coming out and speaking up about this and seeing the need for this kind of thing and supporting the direction that we're going. So that's appreciated.
Yeah, I agree, and I think this may not be the end of it, because it's
Right.
the beginning.
Right.
And I know Mr. Biggers suggested a year ago, well, not quite a year ago, but let's take the first step first, and we'll see how this rolls out.
Yeah.
I know if the windows were open, because he lives right
Yes.
around the corner, we could probably hear a loud clap from our good friend, Mr. Fanouken.
Who gave me that book that you have?
He might show up at the next board meeting to thank us. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and so moved. So before we adjourn, you see there's an information, item 13.01, accounting curriculum resource for management and financial accounting classes at Caches. That information is in the lobby, correct? So just for information.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Starting, yep, starting tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Whitman. Meeting adjourned.